Welcome back, Architect of the Mind. Today, we are going to talk about the most dangerous prison in the world. It is not made of stone. It is not guarded by soldiers. You carry it with you every single day. It is the prison of I have no choice. Most people feel like a leaf in the wind. If the economy is bad, they are sad. If their boss is angry, they are stressed. If they fail a test, they feel worthless. They are small thinkers because they believe they are victims of their environment. But today, we will learn that you are not a leaf. You are the wind. We will look into the darkest period of human history to find the ultimate secret of power. We will follow the footsteps of a man who lost everything, his name, his clothes, and his family, to discover a freedom that no fire can burn and no wall can contain. This is the story of Viktor Frankl and the architecture of internal freedom. Chapter 1. The Zero Point. The story of Viktor Frankl. Imagine being a doctor, a scientist, a man of high status in Vienna. Suddenly, the world collapses. In 1942, Viktor Frankl was arrested. He was stripped of his clothes. His life's work, a manuscript he had spent years writing, was taken and destroyed. He was given a number, 119,104. He was sent to Auschwitz. In the camps, there was no tomorrow. There was only the cold, the hunger, and the smell of death. Men around him were dying every day. Some died from hunger, but many died from something else: loss of meaning. Frankl noticed that as soon as a man lost his big thinking, as soon as he believed that the environment was stronger than his soul, his body would follow. He would stop washing, stop eating, and within days, he would be dead. But Frankl decided to perform a biological experiment on himself. He decided to find the zero point, the place where the external world ends and the internal world begins. One day, standing naked and shivering in the snow, Frankl realized a truth that changed history. He realized that the Nazis could control his body, but they could not control his perception. He said, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing. The last of the human freedoms to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances is less than #0. 5# is greater than." Chapter 2. The Gap Between Stimulus and Response. In biology, most creatures are reactive. Asterisk. If you touch a hot stove, stimulus, you pull your hand back, response. Asterisk. If a dog sees food, stimulus, it salivates, response. For 99% of people, life is just a series of reactions. Someone cuts you off in traffic, you get angry. You make a mistake in English, you feel embarrassed. But Frankl discovered the gap. He realized that between the stimulus and the response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response. In that choice lies our growth and our freedom. Small thinkers live with a zero gap. They react instantly. Big thinkers expand the gap. The neuroscience of freedom. When you feel stress, your amygdala, the fear center, tries to take control. It wants you to scream, cry, or run. But when you pause just for 1 second, you activate your prefrontal cortex. You bring big thinking into the moment. You tell your brain, "This situation is difficult, but I am the one who decides what it means." Is less than #0. 5# is greater than. Chapter 3. The architecture of meaning, logotherapy. After the war, Frankl created a new type of psychology called logotherapy. Logos is the Greek word for meaning. He argued that the primary drive of a human being is not pleasure, as Freud said, and not power, as Adler said. It is the search for meaning. Small thinkers chase happiness, but happiness is like a butterfly. The more you chase it, the more it flies away. Big thinkers chase meaning, and when they find meaning, happiness follows as a side effect. How do you find meaning in a broken world? Frankl said there are 3 ways. 1. Work. Creating something or doing a deed. The one string of your work. 2. Love. Experiencing something or encountering someone. 3. Suffering. The attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. If you are struggling to learn English or struggling with your career, don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" That is small thinking. Ask, "What does this situation require of me?" That is big thinking. Is less than #0. 5# is greater than. Chapter 4. The Mirror of Expectation. There is a biological phenomenon called the placebo effect. If you believe a medicine will heal you, your brain produces the chemicals to heal you. But there is also the nocebo effect. If you believe you are a victim, if you believe you are stuck, your brain produces cortisol, the stress hormone. Cortisol literally shuts down your immune system and your ability to learn. Small thinkers have a nocebo mindset. They expect the world to break them, and so their biology becomes fragile. Viktor Frankl survived because he had a big expectation. He didn't focus on the camp. He focused on the future. He imagined himself in the future, standing behind a podium, teaching a class about the lessons he was learning in Auschwitz. He moved his mind out of the prison and into the future. And because his mind was free, his body found the strength to survive. Is less than #0. 5# is greater than. Chapter 5. The Master of the Internal Annex. Recall the story of Anne Frank. She lived in a physical prison, a small annex. But inside her diary, she created a world of beauty, hope, and philosophy. Viktor Frankl and Anne Frank both understood the same secret. Your internal world is a sovereign state. No one can enter your internal world without your permission. No one can make you feel small unless you agree to it. The 3 steps to internal sovereignty. 1. Observe the stimulus. My boss is shouting. Stay neutral. 2. Enter the gap. Take 1 deep breath. Activate the prefrontal cortex. 3. Choose the meaning. This is a test of my patience. This is my chance to be a leader in a storm. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. When you do this, you are no longer a victim. You are an architect. You are building a life that is not based on what happens to you, but on what happens within you. Is less than #0. 5# is greater than. Chapter 6. The Ghost of the Past. Cutting the Invisible Chains. One of the greatest obstacles to big thinking is not the future, but the ghost of the past. In the concentration camps, Viktor Frankl saw 2 types of people. The first type lived in the past. They constantly talked about what they used to have: their houses, their wealth, their status. By living in the past, they ignored the small opportunities for survival in the present. They were like the elephant tied to the wooden stake. They were trapped by a memory. The biology of regret. When you constantly replay your past mistakes, I should have done this. Why did I say that? Your brain stays in a state of rumination. This neural loop wastes massive amounts of glucose and oxygen. You are physically exhausting yourself by fighting a war that ended years ago. You cannot build a big future if 90% of your mental energy is spent repairing the past. The architecture lesson. To be free, you must perform a mental amputation. You must look at your past self as a different person. Use the past for data, but never for identity. The chains only have power as long as you refuse to let go of the handle. Chapter 7. The currency of responsibility. The two sides of gold. Viktor Frankl made a very provocative suggestion to the United States. He said, the Statue of Liberty on the East Coast should be supplemented by a Statue of Responsibility on the West Coast. Why? Because freedom without responsibility is not freedom. It is chaos. Small thinkers want freedom from things, freedom from work, freedom from rules, freedom from struggle. They want to be a leaf in the wind, but a leaf has no power. Big thinkers want freedom too. The freedom to choose their task, the freedom to take responsibility for their family, their words, and their growth. Chapter 8. The flow of resilience. The neurobiology of the bounce. How do some people survive a tragedy and become even stronger? In psychology, this is called post-traumatic growth. Scientists have studied the brains of highly resilient people. They found that these individuals have a high level of neural plasticity in the pathways between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala. They have a stronger brake. When a small thinker hits a wall, their brain goes into permanent stress. Their cortisol levels stay high, which kills brain cells in the hippocampus, the center of memory and learning. But when a big thinker like Frankl hits a wall, their brain triggers a release of BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. This is like Miracle-Gro for your brain. How do you trigger BDNF? 1. Physical movement. Even a 10-minute walk. 2. Deep focus. Working on your one string. 3. The struggle. Choosing to do something difficult. Resilience is not a gift you are born with. It is a muscle you build. Every time you choose to expand the gap between a problem and your reaction, you are physically strengthening the architecture of your brain. You are teaching your neurons to bounce instead of break. Chapter 9. The Social Annex. Protecting your atmosphere. One of the hardest parts of Viktor Frankl's journey was the people around him. In the camps, many people became cruel. They became small thinkers because they thought that to survive, they had to be animals. But Frankl observed that the people who survived longest were the ones who remained human. They shared their last piece of bread. They offered a kind word. Number your life, you will be surrounded by gray figures. People who complain. People who say, you can't do it. People who want to pull you back into the small thinking prison. You must build a social annex. You must realize that you are the architect of your own atmosphere. You cannot always choose who you work with, But you can choose whose opinions you allow into your internal sanctuary. Like Anne Frank, you must keep your diary, your internal truth, safe from the noise of the world.